So let me start with you, Shilpa. Could you elaborate on some of the key challenges that have historically hindered women's path to financial independence and empowerment, which you see prevalent even today?
Great question there, Mugdha. First of all, thank you so much for having all of us here. It's a wonderful topic for us to be discussing. And like you rightly pointed out, I think before we move into the discussion of financial freedom, it's important to see where women have been historically in this entire journey. So I think you'll agree with me that if we look a little back into history, there was a time when women were not so disadvantaged. There were equitable societies, if you look at disaggregated tribal societies across the world, or even we've heard of the Vedic era in India, where women held a much more powerful and equitable position with men. So, what happened then is the question. So, I think what's happened over time is that habitations have become more concentrated, more aggregated, and more densely populated, which has led to this so called concept of organized society and organized religion. And organized society or organized religion had also what it led to was a bunch of rules about who gets to do what and demarcation around roles. So, across the gender spectrum, all of us were put into these stereotypical roles about what we should and should not do. And what's happened over time is the social conditioning that these rules and these demarcation of roles have led to, where generation after generation, people have been led to believe that this is what women should do and this is what men should do and what people across the gender spectrum should do. And I think that's where we are in this journey today, where we are trying to move forward, where there are certain undercurrents which are playing against us. And those undercurrents are not just society's beliefs about what we should be doing, but our own beliefs as well. So, what I notice, Mukta, in my area of work is the women who come to me are also struggling with their own beliefs around financial freedom and around money, because over so many generations, there are these beliefs that have been shaped around what they should and should not do, that it limits them to actually take the right kind of action to be financially independent and abundant. To give you a couple of examples, Mukta, what I have seen is that there are women who come to me and say things like, I am bad with money. And this is like this recurrent belief that you hear over and over again. I'm bad with money, I'm bad with numbers. And another very interesting belief, which I was scared to hear initially, is that I don't deserve money. So a lot of us women also come from that space of associating our self worth with money and coming from that space of not deserving money. And all of this ties into the environment we've grown up in and the kind of things we've been hearing over time about how we should or should not behave in society. So I think there are very, very deep undercurrents that we are trying to push and go against. And what we need to propel us forward is to have more forces behind us, cheerleading us forward in this journey. And what can help us in this journey and to get over these challenges, I think one is our own beliefs about money. How can we have more empowering and enabling beliefs about money? That's number one. Second is the beliefs of the people around us, having this enabling support system of people in our homes, in our workplaces, who are helping us move forward and make progress on this front, Mukta.
Very well put there, Shilpa, because our relationship with money as women is very different from how it is with men. And we play those gendered roles, and those within those cultural norms, we find ourselves uh, sometimes not having a very healthy relationship with money. It doesn't come very naturally to us because of our traditional upbringing, that my primary goal is actually to be independent, financially independent, and first take care of myself because of our caregiving duties as well. So Neha, let me get you in here. Caregiving is still very much part of our portfolio, and the women who are at work are killing it at work, and they're killing it at home, yet it's not. And financial literacy, therefore, becomes very important, especially the tools of investments. How can we address these barriers effectively, given that many women in India have no means to learn the ropes of investing even and start managing money on their own? It sort of comes very late in life. In your earlier life, when you're a child, as a girl child also, you're never told that make your money, save your money. Things are changing now, but I remember my generation, we were never really told to yeah, study education, great, But yeah, making money, investing money, multiplying money was never part of that agenda. What do you think?
No, absolutely great point there, Mugdha. And I think Shilpa, who spoke before me, encapsulated it very well in saying that part of who we are today is not just because of how we were brought up, but also because of our past generations and how society as a whole changed in the last few decades. So what I feel is, I think this particular panel is a perfect example. I think about 4 years ago when I decided to venture into finance, there were very few panels, let alone women outside of finance who would talk about finance. But even in the finance industry, there were very few women who would be featured on panels or would be open to discussion. But today we have a finance minister who's a female. We have the SEBI chairperson who's a female. So I think it is a little bit of who we were and how we were brought up to do or think about money, number one. Second is about, imbibing it as a way of life. And I often say India as a society in general needs financial literacy. Women need it more because in my practice, what I've seen is that women are better at handling, from a numbers perspective, I've seen that women, when they come down to financial planning, understanding financial concepts, execute it at a level which is much better than our male counterparts, not to, discount them at all. So I think the gap is finding that social circle where it becomes a topic of conversation. So I started earning when I was 22, but it was only until I was 27 and 28 when my son was about a few years old, then we realized that, oh, I think we need to start putting aside money, and there is this thing called inflation which is going to eat into the purchasing power of money and not get us to the things that we want to or aspire to be in the next few years. So I think it starts, and I often say it, I use it many times, but I'll reiterate here because that's the context. It's often about financial attitude and behavior, which preludes or precedes financial literacy or capability or knowledge or tools. Fortunately, we are, abundant resources are available around us. Today, there are exclusive women-run communities that focus on financial freedom, financial wellness, financial independence for women, with sometimes that inherent apprehension to say, like you said, I may not be good at managing my money. Or for example, for a leading tech, company, when we were doing some work around tax planning for women, I asked the ladies after that, I said, should you be doing your financial planning? And all of them nodded. But unfortunately, when I raised the second question and I said, will you be doing it? There was still a lot of apprehension because society as a whole, women traditionally walk into banks and say, my father or my husband or my brother is going to help me with that. And that's the mindset shift that we need to address. And I think this panel, again, is a perfect example for many women like, us outside, especially from non-finance backgrounds, because I'm a perfect example. I came from the tech space and now, I found my footing in the finance space to say, finance is important for everyone. Irrespective of which strata of society you come from, irrespective of what education background you come from, it is not exclusive to a certain class. So the sooner you take charge of it, the better it is, because all of us understand the time value of money. And I think the time value of financial knowledge is as relevant as the time value of money. So,
an investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.